Fernando Mendoza is the 6'5", 225-pound quarterback for the undefeated Indiana Hoosiers, the QB for the number one ranked team in the country, the QB for the 2025 Big 12 champions. He's been picking apart defenses all season, culminating in leading the way to overcome Ohio State in this past weekend's Big 12 championship game. I'm going to bring you through Fernando Mendoza's Dynasty prospect profile today. Like I said, a part of the number one ranked team in the country, undefeated Big 12 champs. He's also the favorite for the Heisman right now. If you're watching this a little later, maybe that's already been announced. Maybe he has won the Heisman. That's what I am predicting at this point. Mendoza is 22 years old. He's 6'5", 225, has great size for the quarterback position entering the NFL. He's a transfer from Cal the last two seasons where he started, now over to Indiana, and has absolutely blown up since joining this Indiana team. I'm going to take you through all of the film today on Mendoza, but the stats really show it well as well. Third in completion percentage among Power 4 quarterbacks in this class, first in touchdowns, second in yards per attempt, only 5 interceptions during the regular season. Now you can see here all those stats I have on this graphic, along with his strengths, some weaknesses, overview. We've got the combine stats incoming. This is taken directly from our FTR 2026 Dynasty Rookie Guide. If you would like access to this guide, we have over 40 prospects highlighted just like Mendoza here, as well as all our rankings and much more to come in future updates. If you want all of that information, go ahead, subscribe on our Patreon. We have a free trial right now for you early adopters, and then just $5 a month after that. So if you want all this information, go ahead and find that there. But here today on YouTube, I'm going to bring you through Mendoza's prospect profile. I'm going to go through his strengths as a prospect, along with all of the film on Mendoza, the weaknesses he has in his profile, and then I'm going to break down some of the dynasty implications, the NFL draft implications of his profile. Whether you're watching this for the dynasty implications because your NFL team is possibly drafting Mendoza, or you're just interested in this rookie class, we have information for everyone. Let's not waste time and get right into Mendoza's strengths. So first of all, it's his arm talent. I know that's general, and you'll be able to see some of the film here, the clips of what he does so well. His sideline, his deep accuracy on the sideline is something, it's the best in this class by far. I think it's his best skill overall. He has the touch on his throws to hit players in stride down the sideline. He also has the arm strength to get the ball there extremely quickly. He beats defenders with his arm all the time. That quick release is great for identifying open receivers quickly and finding them on the sideline. This is the skill that actually got me on Mendoza's profile from the beginning. I saw that in the film at Cal. I assume that's why Indiana wanted to bring in Mendoza, because what he showed there. Cal's offense extremely limited, not exciting at all, but Mendoza showed flashes there, and his ability throwing to the sideline was where he was at his best. He also layers the ball very well over the middle of the field. It hasn't been as big of a part of Indiana's offense as that sideline boundary throws have been, but he is still very good, layering it between those two levels of defenders. He really has good accuracy into these tight windows, combined with the good touch on his throws to layer it over defenders. He really has avoided turnovers all over the field this season, but especially when throwing over the middle of the field where a lot of quarterbacks are susceptible to these somewhat errant throws causing turnovers. He just doesn't do that. He's able to lead his receivers. He is able to find very tight windows, even when his receivers aren't getting separation, to make sure that this offense continues to move the ball. Something they have done all season, and the reason that they are undefeated going into the college football playoffs. Now, the second strength I want to highlight is probably the one that I think is the most important for his ability to translate into the NFL game, and that is his ability to throw under pressure. I can probably expand that to just his ability under pressure overall. It's an incredibly important skill entering the NFL. These quarterbacks, prospects coming from college to the NFL, they're usually not used to the level of pressure they're going to face in the NFL. They're especially like Mendoza, who's going to probably go to one of the worst teams in the league, one of those top draft pick teams. He is projected to be the top quarterback taken in this class, possibly the top overall pick in the NFL draft. So he's going to be behind probably not a great offensive line. He's going to have to deal with pressure. He did it extremely well at Indiana. He throws through pressure extremely well. He evades pressure very well. And he never seems surprised to see rushers come. His ability to evaluate pre-snap is very good and ready for the NFL. Something underrated about his profile is that he's also quite mobile. He's not going to blow you away with his speed. He's not Lamar Jackson or anything like that. But he has the mobility to get outside of the pocket so that he can throw on the run, something he does quite well, or just to pick up the yards given to him if rushers do make it through. And Mendoza is one tough guy. He maintains good throwing mechanics right through contact. You see it multiple times in his profile, including in the first play of that conference championship game, took a huge hit, but still delivered the ball effectively. This is another area where quarterbacks turn over the ball a lot while under pressure. Mendoza does not do that. He maintains his poise through that pressure. He also shows his poise here. He doesn't force things. He moves out of the pocket when he gets pressured. He's willing to throw it away, willing to check it down or pick up yards when he has it. He's not going to force something in these scenarios and turn over the ball. Another strength that Mendoza has is his efficiency in the red zone. He has been absolutely exceptional at scoring touchdowns once he gets into the red zone, and he's done that with an incredible back shoulder ability, his ability to place jump balls to his receivers, and his ability to run on the ground. He's run in 6 touchdowns on the season, and for not a particularly running quarterback, that is a great number. In that running game, he uses his size extremely well. Like I said, 6'5", 225. He's able to run through defenders quite well. He is able to use that size even without exceptional speed or athleticism. He can pick up yards to get into the end zone. He also has incredible vision as a rusher. He always seems to be able to find those holes while keeping his eyes downfield as a passer. He can find those lanes to pick up as a rusher as well. And like I said, he is a tough guy. He does not shy away from contact. He will take hits to get into the end zone. But more important is his ability throwing the ball in the red zone, in scoring opportunities. Now, he has Elijah Surratt on this Indiana offense, and that makes these ability to go throw up these jump balls, these back shoulder fades in the end zone a lot easier. That being said, he's done it to multiple receivers with multiple receivers and done it very well. We saw it in that touchdown during that Big 12 championship game against Ohio State. He threw a perfect ball up to Surratt. I don't think they were even quite in the red zone at that point or right on the edge. And made a perfect throw to let Surratt go up and get that ball. I'd go as far as saying this is an elite skill of his ability to lead his receivers into the end zone, high point the ball, those back shoulder fades, and score touchdowns in those opportunities. Something that shows up immediately on film for Mendoza is his ability to get the ball out extremely quick. While some quarterbacks coming out of college are extremely exciting for their ability to get outside the pocket, to be creative, to make things happen, yes, that is a good skill to have, but being able to play in the structure of the offense is even more important when translating to the NFL. He had a very low time to throw. It was the 13th lowest among Power 4 quarterbacks. That was out of 50 qualifying quarterbacks. And despite having a pretty high ADOT as well, average depth of target at 9.5 yards, which ranked 12th among the Power 4 quarterbacks. Now, normally, if you have a really low time to throw, that's often because you are just throwing short dink and dunk kind of passes, not pushing the ball down the field. That wasn't the case with Mendoza. Not only was he pushing the ball down the field, but he was also getting the ball out extremely quickly. That's one, because he plays very well in the structure of the offense, a well-designed offense as well. And two, because the release he has is just so quick. His throwing motion, he has the arm strength to get even a very quick throw out hard, and that allows him to throw the ball much quicker than others. The last strength I want to highlight here is how well Mendoza played against good competition. His poise, it really showed up against these top teams, these top defenses, and it's where he shines. At first, it was against Illinois. They were ranked ahead of Indiana at the time they played, and Mendoza went and completed 91% of his passes and 5 touchdowns. Then he went up against the Oregon Ducks, who finished the season as the 5th-ranked team, and scored 30 points against that team, the most that was scored against them all season long. And while the box score of that game doesn't show a magnificent outing by Mendoza, it was a very good outing. He used his abilities to read the defense, to go through his progressions, probably better than I had seen up to that point in his college career. Outside of the one mistake he made, he did throw a bad pick six. Outside of that one mistake, it was a very good game for Mendoza. And now finally, in the conference championship game against the number 1 ranked team in the country at the time, an undefeated Ohio State team, he goes ahead and gets the win for his team. He did that with his number 2 receiver getting injured on the opening drive, and Indiana's ground game only averaging 3.5 yards per carry. While it was no high-scoring affair by any means, Mendoza led his team in a poised demeanor to win that game. All right, let's move over now to some of the limitations, some of the weaknesses in Mendoza's profile. Probably the biggest issue on the field, and this is more from a fantasy perspective, is that he's not an elite athlete. He is just fine in that area. He has a little bit of speed. He has some good mobility outside of the pocket, but he's not going to wow you as a rusher. I don't expect Mendoza to ever run for 400 or 500 yards in the NFL, but it doesn't mean that he's an absolute zero on the ground for fantasy. I've seen it be a very popular thing to comp him to Jared Goff, and I think that's a little bit silly on the rushing side. As a passer, yes, Jared Goff and him have some similarities, their ability to dissect defenses at 3 levels of the field, but people saying that he has the same rushing production as Goff is just wrong. Across 2 seasons as a college starter, Goff ran for a combined 320 yards. Mendoza passed that last year alone and is on pace to do it again this year if he plays a stretch run through the college football playoffs. And more importantly for fantasy is the touchdown upside on the ground. Goff didn't run for a single touchdown in college. Mendoza ran for 6 this season alone. If you want to give a comp on the rushing side for Mendoza, I'd actually say Jackson Dart is a lot closer. And that may sound crazy with what Dart has done so far this season in the NFL, but they do a lot of things similarly. Now, Dart has more mobility, more athleticism. He is more fluid of a runner, but both of them have similar speed. They're not huge, speedy, top speed guys. They more win with their vision as rushers, their ability to see open lanes, and their ability around the goal line to score touchdowns as a rusher. So while Mendoza is not going to be an elite rusher for fantasy, he still can add to his ceiling in that area. The second weakness in his profile is that this one season at Indiana was his only one with a true high level of production. The Cal offense that he'd played for previously, very bland, a lot of short stuff, not very creative, didn't allow him to use his full, true skill set. It's not to say he didn't produce at all, he did. He had decent yardage totals, just wasn't able to get the team into the end zone as often, and I would attribute that more to the offensive scheme. And the last weakness I want to highlight here is that this Indiana offense was very RPO heavy, run pass option heavy. It was not under center. He ran very few snaps under center this season. It looked more like a college offense. That's not to say that the NFL doesn't run the RPO. They absolutely do. Look at certain teams like the Commanders. They run a lot of RPO with Cliff Kingsbury and Jaden Daniels over there. But generally, an offense is going to be structured a little differently in the NFL compared to what Mendoza ran in college. Now, Mendoza did run a lot of plays where he just threw to his first read. That's part of that run-pass option kind of offense. Also, this Indiana offense was just very well designed, so that first read was often open. So there are still some questions in the NFL about how well Mendoza can read a defense, something that is more required at the NFL level. That's always one of the hardest things to scout for in college. It's hard to know what's going through the head of the quarterback as you watch them. All you can really do is tell by the results that you see on film. I did see in the games against higher competition, especially in that Oregon game, a little bit in this Ohio State game, see Mendoza make more of time through his progressions, working through his progressions, finding checkdowns when needed, getting out of just that first read by necessity. Now, hopefully Mendoza enters the NFL with a good coaching staff. That's not always the case. That can help him acclimate to those NFL level defenses. All right, let's run through a few of the NFL or fantasy considerations here with Mendoza. So it's very likely he will be the first quarterback off the board in the NFL draft. It's also very possible that he's the number one overall player, the first pick in the NFL draft come April. So you can see the teams that are in consideration for that top pick, or at least high enough to have the ability to trade up for that top pick, and are quarterback needy. That would be the Saints, the Raiders, the Jets, and the Browns. I'll also say the Rams are a dark horse team to try and make a move up for a quarterback with that second pick they acquired from the Falcons. They could look to find the backup to Matt Stafford sooner rather than later. If they do that and draft Fernando Mendoza, then he is going to skyrocket up boards, or should. Even if he's not the starter year one, sitting behind Matthew Stafford, great for his development. Playing with Sean McVay calling plays, I would be very excited. But that's a less likely scenario. Let's look more at the likely quarterback needy teams here. So the Saints and Browns both have good offensive play callers. Kellen Moore, Kevin Stefanski, both good offensive minds, I believe. They don't have great teams. That's why they're in the position to draft this high. The offensive lines on those teams are not very good. But like I said, Mendoza handles pressure well, so maybe that isn't the biggest issue for him. Another thing is that both of those teams have some pretty good weapons. Obviously, Olave with the Saints, a great weapon. Juwan Johnson has had a breakout season, the tight end for the Saints. Then when you look at the Browns, they have a good running back room there, and then a great duo of tight ends. I don't know how long Njoku will continue to be there with the Browns, but Harold Fannin has been used as an amazing option out of the slot for the Browns, and I think he would be a great person to pair up with Mendoza. The Browns also have additional draft capital from that trade with the Jaguars for Travis Hunter, so there is an opportunity to possibly pair up Mendoza with another young rookie wide receiver. Now, if you look at the Raiders, that team is a mess. But now that Chip Kelly is gone, this offense could have a chance to improve. Obviously, the offensive line is awful, but still, you have probably the best pass catcher that any of these likely teams has in Brock Bowers. You have Ashton Genty to help out of the backfield. I think that the building blocks could be there if they can start to build up the offensive line with some free agent additions. Lastly, and this is the scenario that I'd least like to see, the New York Jets. Garrett Wilson, very good receiver, probably the best wide receiver on this list of likely teams, but not much else going on there. I'm not confident in this offensive coaching staff as a whole. Justin Fields was not a great quarterback, but they absolutely did not use him to the best of his abilities. Makes me kind of worried about whatever quarterback joins this team next. They do have the best offensive line of these teams, but like I said, that might be less of a worry for me than having a good coaching staff in place. I would much rather the worst offensive line with Kellen Moore or Kevin Stefanski calling plays than an inconsistent, inexperienced offensive play caller along with a slightly better offensive line. Mendoza has the upside to be a 30-plus touchdown guy if they can build a good team around him with the ability to throw in a couple extra touchdowns on the ground. That is a ceiling of a QB1 overall for fantasy if things go well. If you like this kind of breakdown of Fernando Mendoza, I'm going to do it for so many more prospects in this class. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like, go ahead and subscribe to our Patreon as well. I have the entire rookie draft guide already up in there for you guys to take a look. Those of you scouting earlier than the rest of your league mates. Also, if you subscribe to that Patreon and get into our FTR Discord, then I'm going to be taking your advice on what you'd like to see in these videos in the future. What prospects you want covered, what parts of their profile, what kind of film you want to see, and even what goes into the next edition of the draft guide.